Howdy. I'm going to do a little jazz thing, 2-5-1 key of C, geared towards the guys just getting into jazz, or girls, and having that overwhelming feeling, not knowing what to do. I know that all too well. I still get that feeling. But anyway, the good news is that you can learn as you go. You can learn song. You don't have to memorize all your drop twos, all your inversions, all your drop threes, all your scales, all over the neck, all these chromatic things. That was terrible. But you don't have to learn everything before you start playing. You can pick a tune like Autumn Leaves and start from there, you know? Keep it simple. You know, whatever. But today we're going to do a little 2-5 thing in the key of C. The first step when you start doing 2-5s, you're probably going to be inclined to do something like this. D minor 7, G7, C major 7. And when you play over it, you're going to be inclined to do something like this. D Dorian, G Mixolydian, and C Ionian. And I guess that's an okay starting point, but it's in the real world, that's kind of useless. And I actually recommend circumventing some of those steps and going kind of right for the jugular and going for the real useful stuff. And you can fill in all the blanks as you go. But what I mean is, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to do all the 2-5s root position on the middle 4 strings, now I'm going to do more first inversion on the middle 4 strings. And then second inversion, then third inversion. Then you're going to go to the top 4 strings, or the bottom 4 strings. Now, fourth tuning, all those chords are the same. In standard tuning, you have to learn 3 versions of each chord. You have to learn this one, the bottom 4, middle 4, and top 4. And just for the record, that's actually why I switched to fourths. Now, I'd already learned all those chords, unfortunately, but I realized what a bunch of bullshit it was, learning all those figuratively, millions of different shapes for the same chord. Because you've got the root position and 3 inversions, right? Times 3 sets of strings. So that's 12 fingerings for one chord instead of 4. And then when you start getting into the sharp 5s, flat 5s, and suspendeds, and it gets nasty pretty quick. But besides the point, what I was saying is, rather than starting from the bottom and working in these little increments and feeling like you have to know absolutely every chord and every fingering of every scale, you can come up with useful voicings and useful scale combinations that'll stay with you forever. And you can skip all that kind of... Alright, so let's start off with the chords. Rather than doing this, which sounds kind of jagged, there's really not a lot of voice leading, it's just kind of boxy sounding. We're just going to do some nicer voicings, closer together, more movement. So we're going to do D minor 9, D, F, C, E, okay? Then we're going to do the G altered. And I'm in fourths. I'm telling you the notes so you can figure it out when you're tuning. D, F, C, E. If you can't fit, that's on the middle 4 strings. If you can't figure that out, you really want to do a little bit of work in that area. You won't get very far into this stuff because knowing your notes is a very big hurdle if you don't know them already. It'll impede your progress at every turn. So again, D, F, A, C, D, F, C, E, D minor 9. Then the G7 altered, we've got D flat, F, B, D sharp. Okay, so we've got the flat 5 and the sharp 5, the 7 and the 3. And look how easy that movement is. And then for the C major 7, we'll do a C major 9. C, E, B, D. Now if you want to add the 6 in there, you want to do a 2, 5, 1, 6. So you're going to resolve back into that 2 chord. If you want to keep looping it and jam over that, or set up a track or something, or just to make it more continuous, you can add the A7, the 6th chord, which would, the plain Jane way would sound like this. The cooler way, we're going to do those same 3 chords we just did, D minor 9, G7 altered, C major 9, and then for that A7, we're going to do an A7 altered. It's actually a voicing for a C sharp major 7 flat 5. Now if I put the A in the bass, you'll hear why that works. And what you have here is you have the 3rd, you have C sharp, you have the 7th, which is G, you have the sharp 9, which is C, and you've got the sharp 5 right there. Alright, so we've got these 4 chords. Scales. You don't want to go like this. It's going to be very lame. And that's how I learned it. I learned, alright, I'm going to ascend one mode and descend the next one. I'm going to do all ascending, all descending, and I go like, and I do all descending, you know. And I had all these little methods starting at the bottom to incrementally get to somewhere musical. And you don't have to do that. If you want to learn the simpler way later on and kind of fill things in as you go, that's fine. So let's check out the scales for these chords. D minor 9, and we're only going to outline the chord. You don't have to do this all over the neck, because and another cool thing about jazz, which makes it sound so lovely but makes it difficult to play, is the chords change very frequently. You know, rhythm changes. And they're all over the place. So you want to get used to little pieces of scales, and it's easier to learn if they outline a chord, because then you learn it's sort of a 2 for 1. It's a twofer. So D minor 9, we're going to outline the chord with a D Dorian. So just, I would start on the lowest note of the chord and go to like the highest note of the chord, D and E. Whoa! Alright, just D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. Now for the altered, we're going to play A flat melodic minor. So you're going to want to, we're starting on the D flat, then the D sharp, F, sorry, D flat, D sharp, F, G, A flat, B flat. I don't know, it would be easier to probably just tell you the shape or let you hear it. But the chord tones are important. Yeah, what you end up having with that altered scale is the flat 5, sharp 5, 7, mood, flat 9, sharp 9, flat 9, sharp 9, major 3rd, then back to the flat 5, sharp 5, and then the C major 9. I like to do a Lydian on that, which would just be a C scale with the F sharp, sharp 11, B flat flat melodic minor. So the chord is right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to start on that part of the chord. So it's going to be awkward starting at melodic minor scales anywhere besides the root. It's going to take some practice. But really get used to knowing what the chord tones are in the scale, and it'll give you a deeper appreciation and understanding of the theory involved. So back to that A, we've got the third, flat 5, sharp 5, flat 7, 7th, root, flat 9, sharp 9, third, flat 5, sharp 5. So you want to start ripping through these chords. D minor 9. G altered. C Lydian. A altered. G altered. C Lydian. A altered. I just went out of our confines, but you get the idea. And that's what happens. You work on those, and your next step would be to come up with a couple of little lines. You know, you might go. You know, that's another easy way to look at it. Oh man, there's so many ways to look at this stuff. I don't want to confuse you. I'll definitely do follow-up lessons that get more into this stuff. So there's your voicings, there's your scales. Oops. And your next step would simply be change positions. Come up with voicings that you like. You know, maybe up here, maybe do a D minor 7 here, G altered, C major 7 here, and you know, just experiment with the voicings. Come up with voicings that you like. And one more piece of advice I would give is I just did a Dorian mode, altered mode, and Lydian. When I got into this stuff, of course I realized as I'm reading all these volumes of books and listening to these transcribing pianists and saxophone players and everything I can get my hands on, you have many options on every chord. It's not just, you know, when you see an altered chord, it implies a lot of different things. I mean, some people use diminished things, whole tone things, harmonic minor, melodic minor, different triad pairs and different sorts of modulation combinations. There are countless things that you can do over any one chord. Approach notes, just chromaticism, reharms, tritone sub, like the D minor 7 to the G7. You could do a tritone sub, A flat minor 7 to the D flat 7. There are a lot of things you can do, and it's up to you to actually, this sounds like bad advice, but you want to limit yourself. You don't want all those options. Not yet. Because if you got a jazz gig and you're playing over a tune, a fast tune, and chords are popping up, and you're like, all right, G7, I can play this, and this. You're already 6 chords behind. So it's very important to pick and choose the things you really like the sound of. You know, don't worry about what Charlie Parker did, or what Brad Meldau's doing, or what Pat Metheny does over a song, or Wes Montgomery. Listen to those guys, get some ideas, and kind of devise your plan of attack. As far, you know, mine was melodic minor. I use melodic minor almost exclusively over everything. I almost never use whole tone, diminished very rarely, and if I do diminished, it's kind of a cheesy, I mean, I like the sound of it, but I don't really know my diminished scales very well, so I'll do like these tritone little shapes. So everything I do is melodic minor. If I'm playing like straight up standards, all the altered chords, all the 2/5s, a minor 2/5, I'll use all melodic minor. So that was a limit that I placed on myself, but there was such a world of stuff to do within that scale, and triad pairs and all this other stuff with chromatic stuff that I've worked on. I haven't even gotten to a point where I feel confident adding to my vocabulary. You know, I'm still working on this stuff, these ideas that I had like 15 years ago. So again, come up with voicings that are useful, and you know, you don't want to be like all over the joint. You don't want to be going, I mean, all stretching and doing all this crazy stuff. It's hard to remember. You're gonna hurt yourself. You know, whenever I play, my chords are so close together. That's just me. I like the way those voices kind of all intertwine together. But yes, once again, come up with voicings that sound good and you can remember. So anytime you see a 2/5, you can do that. That's D, D, G, C, right? But if you're playing another tune where it's a 2/5, 1, and D, you just do it here. You know, whatever. You can do it anywhere. And in fourths, you can do it literally anywhere. Alright, so chords, scales, outlining the chords. You don't want to have to work on 3-note per string scales all over the guitar. You want to outline the chord.